I know exactly what you have been told your whole life. You have been told that you are too sensitive. You've been told to toughen up. Probably 1,000 times, you've heard, don't take things so personally. You have likely spent years apologizing for your tears, for feeling too much, for caring too deeply, for reacting to a world that seems to just shrug. But I am here today to tell you that the diagnosis you've been given, it's wrong. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not weak. You are not a mistake. You are not broken. You are what psychologists call a highly sensitive person. But I prefer a different term. I call you a supersensor. While the rest of the world is recording life in standard definition, efficient, functional, getting the job done, your brain is recording in 8K resolution. Every detail, every texture, every unspoken emotion in the room. You're not just seeing the world, you're feeling it in high definition, while everyone else watches on a grainy screen. And today, we're going to look at the neuroscience that proves your sensitivity is not a defect. It is a high-performance radar system. It is an evolutionary gift that the world desperately needs. But first, let me tell you about someone who spent 30 years believing she was broken. Let me tell you about my friend Lena. Lena is an artist. She paints these incredible canvases, the kind that make you stop breathing for a second. But for years, she couldn't paint in public, couldn't even sketch in a park, because if someone walked by and glanced at her work, she would freeze. Her heart would race. And if that person happened to frown, if they walked away without commenting, she'd pack up her things and go home and cry for hours. Her family had a name for it. They called her the fragile one. At dinner tables, she was the one they protected from bad news. At work, she was the one colleagues whispered about. Don't be too direct with Lena, she'll take it personally. She heard the word sensitive so often it became a brand burned into her skin. She believed it meant defective. She came to me once, after a particularly hard week. Her boyfriend had made an offhand comment about her cooking. Not even mean, just a suggestion. And she'd spent the entire night in the bathroom, crying, asking herself, why can't I just be normal? Why does everything have to hurt so much? I asked her, Lena, when you're painting, what do you see that others don't? She looked confused. What do you mean? I said. When you look at a sunset, what do you notice? She thought for a moment. The way the light catches the edges of the clouds, the slight change in color as the sun dips lower, the feeling in the air, like the whole world is holding its breath. And when you walk into a room full of people, she whispered, I know who's fighting before they speak. I know who's lonely. I can feel the tension, the joy, the grief. It's like I can't turn it off. And I said, Lena, that's not a weakness. That's a superpower you've been calling a curse. She looked at me like I'd just told her the sky was green. But here's the thing. Lena's story is your story. It's my story. It's the story of every person who's ever been told they feel too much, and the world has been lying to us. So let's look at the hardware, because this isn't just personality, this is biology. To understand yourself, we have to look at your hardware, because this isn't a personality quirk you can just fix with positive thinking. This is biology. This is how your brain is wired. Research shows that your brain processes information differently than the other 80% of the population. Think of the human brain like a camera. Most people's brains are recording the world in standard definition, maybe 720p. It's a good picture. It's efficient. It captures what's necessary and ignores the rest to save energy. It gets the job done without taking up too much memory. But your brain? Your brain is recording in 8K resolution. Neuroscience has identified 3 specific upgrades in your hardware that explain why life feels so intense. Upgrade 1. Your brain lacks a filter. Neuroscientists call this low latent inhibition. Most brains are designed to ignore about 90% of what they see and hear. The hum of the refrigerator? Ignored. The texture of the chair you're sitting on? Filtered out. The subtle shift in someone's tone of voice? The brain treats it as background noise to save energy. But your brain treats everything as relevant. You process the texture of the chair. You notice the hum of the refrigerator. You feel the mood of the person sitting next to you. Their anxiety, their joy, their hidden sadness, all at the same time. This is why you get overwhelmed in loud spaces. This is why you need to retreat to dark rooms. This is why crowded parties exhaust you. Your brain is processing 10 times more information than everyone else's. But here's the other side. This is also why you notice the beauty, the way light falls on a leaf, the small kindness someone else missed, the patterns and solutions that everyone else walks right past. You're not overwhelmed because you're weak. You're overwhelmed because you're processing an ocean while everyone else is processing a puddle. Upgrade 2. Your mirror neurons are hyperactive. Mirror neurons are the parts of your brain that allow you to empathize. When you see someone smile, your mirror neurons fire as if you were smiling. When you see someone in pain, your brain simulates that pain. For most people, this is a helpful but limited system. They understand someone is sad, they might feel a flicker of sympathy. For you, you don't just understand that someone is sad, you feel their sadness in your own body, physically, viscerally. You are not imagining it. Your brain is literally simulating their emotional state. You absorb the feelings of everyone around you like a sponge in a world full of spills. This is why violence in movies makes you physically ill. This is why you cry at weddings of people you barely know. This is why you carry the weight of your friend's struggles long after the conversation ends. You're not too emotional. You are wired for deep connection. Your nervous system is designed to attune to others at a level most people cannot access. Upgrade 3. Depth of processing. This is the most misunderstood feature of your hardware. Psychologists call it the pause to check strategy. In a conversation, when someone asks you a question, you might feel like you're slower to respond. You hesitate. You overthink. You replay the conversation afterward, analyzing what you should have said. In a decision, you weigh every option. You consider every outcome. You can't just go with the flow. And for years, you've probably beaten yourself up for this. You've called yourself indecisive. You've wished you could just react like everyone else. But here's the science. You are not slow. You are thorough. While others engage in shallow processing, just reacting to what's right in front of them, your brain is engaging in deep semantic encoding. You are unconsciously connecting the current moment to past memories. You are predicting future outcomes. You are analyzing the meaning behind the words, the subtext beneath the surface. You aren't hesitating because you're confused. You're hesitating because your brain is running a complex simulation to ensure the best possible outcome. That is not a bug. That is high-level computation. Now, you might be asking, if this makes life so hard, why did evolution keep this trait? This is the most important part of this video, so I need you to really hear me. If being sensitive was a weakness, if it was just a flaw, a mistake, a genetic accident, natural selection would have eliminated it thousands of years ago. It would have been weeded out, but it wasn't. It survived. It persisted. Why? Because the tribe needs you. In ancient times, the warriors, the non-sensitive majority, were essential. They were bold. They were risk-takers. They hunted, they fought, they charged into danger. A tribe of only warriors could survive, but a tribe of only warriors would eventually die. They would rush into every situation without reading the signs. They would miss the subtle warnings. The tribe needed something else. They needed the royal advisors, the ones who could read the room, the ones who could sense danger before it arrived. That is you. You were the one who noticed the weather changing before the storm hit. You were the one who sensed that the neighboring tribe was lying. You were the one who could feel the tension in the air and sound the alarm before anyone else saw the threat. Your sensitivity, what you've been calling your weakness, is actually a sophisticated early warning system. It's radar, it's intuition, it's the ability to perceive what others cannot. Society today is loud, fast, and aggressive. It's built for the warriors. That's why you feel out of place. That's why you feel exhausted. But do not mistake being out of place for being without value. I know that carrying this radar comes with a cost. Because you process everything so deeply, you reach your limit faster. When you suddenly shut down in the middle of a busy day, when you need to hide in a dark room with no noise, no people, no stimulation, when you snap at someone you love because you're just full, that is not you being dramatic. That is not you being weak. That is your RAM being full. Your system has overheated. You have processed so much, felt so much, absorbed so much, that your brain is literally saying, no more. I need to reboot. And that's okay. Science has a beautiful metaphor for this. Most people are like dandelions. They are resilient. They can grow anywhere, in a crack in the sidewalk, in a field, in a garden. They're fine, regardless of the environment. They adapt. They survive. But you are not a dandelion. You are an orchid. If you try to grow in a harsh environment, if you're surrounded by noise, chaos, criticism, toxicity, you will wither. You will struggle. You will feel like you're dying, while the dandelions around you seem just fine. And for years, you've probably blamed yourself for not being a dandelion. You've looked at everyone else handling life and wondered, why can't I just be like them? But here's what the research shows. It's called vantage sensitivity. When an orchid is placed in the right environment, with the right light, the right soil, the right care, the right gentleness, it doesn't just survive, it blooms with a complexity and beauty that the dandelion can never achieve. You don't need to toughen up to survive the sidewalk. You need to move yourself to the greenhouse. When you curate your life to support your sensitivity, when you build boundaries, when you honor your need for silence, when you surround yourself with people who understand, you don't just catch up to others, you surpass them. So, here is my prescription for you. Stop trying to install a tougher filter. You cannot change your biology, and you shouldn't want to. The world has enough numbness. We have enough people who can walk past suffering without flinching. We have enough people who scroll past beauty without pausing. We don't need you to be thicker-skinned. We need you to be exactly who you are. But you must protect your gift. You must build your boundaries like a greenhouse around an orchid. You must honor your need for silence, for rest, for space to process. The next time someone tells you that you are too sensitive, the next time someone rolls their eyes at your tears, the next time someone says, don't take it so personally, I want you to do something. Take a breath, smile internally, and remember the truth. You do not have a defect. You are just seeing the world in 8K resolution while they're watching on a screen from 1995. Your ability to feel deeply is not a burden. In a world that is increasingly disconnected, increasingly numb, increasingly detached, your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is the very thing that makes you fully human. Subscribe if you want more of these conversations about the beautiful, messy business of being human. I'll see you in the next one. You are not too much. You are exactly enough.